After weeks of speculations around the resumption of the latter half of IPL 2021 post its indefinite postponement earlier this month, there is some definite news coming in from the BCCI camp. Cricbuzz has reliably learned that the BCCI is looking at a window that starts somewhere between September 16th to 20th and the IPL 2021 ending on October 9th, something that was also confirmed by former cricketer and now a broadcaster with the IPL, Kevin Peterson as well. Now, with the state of pandemic as is in India at the moment, the T20 World Cup that was scheduled to take place in India might also in all likeliness move to the UAE, which will pose a logjam for both the BCCI and the ICC in terms of scheduling, because the T20 World Cup was slated to begin somewhere in mid-October, which means if the IPL goes on to take place in the UAE in that period, it will not leave the stipulated 10 days time that the ICC needs to prepare the grounds and the pitches for both commercial reasons as well as for playing conditions. This means that the BCCI may, towards the end of the IPL, play more games at one venue while handing over the others to the ICC. This also means that the BCCI will have to crunch in more number of double headers as the tournament progresses. Now, because there are warm conditions in the UAE throughout the year, we may see more double headers starting towards the end of September and not anything before that. The BCCI is all set to host an SGM on May 29th where they'll iron out final wrinkles and come out with a clearer plan. As for the ICC, they have a meeting scheduled on June 1st as well to decide on the fate and the future of ICC's T20 World Cup 2021. But if all goes as per reports, there might be issues for both the BCCI and the ICC, and the foremost of them will be the condition of the pitches for both the tournaments. 31 games are scheduled to be played in the remaining half of IPL 2021, and there will be 45 games in the T20 World Cup 2021. We saw last year in IPL 2020 that pitches had started wearing out in all three venues, Sharjah, Dubai and Abu Dhabi in the UAE. This time around, there are more games than last year when you combine the T20 World Cup and the IPL together, which means the pitches will have to be taken care of really well by both the BCCI and then later by the ICC. There's of course also the matter of player availability. Now, the Caribbean Premier League ends right now as per their schedule on September 19th, which means if all the West Indies players take a charter flight out of the West Indies into the UAE, they should be available for a majority of the remaining half of IPL 2021, as should South African players be. But there are problems elsewhere, because ECB Director Ashley Giles clarified that the English players will prioritize their bilateral commitments ahead of the T20 World Cup than to play in IPL 2021, which means a lot of those players will not turn up for the remaining half of IPL 2021. As for other players, their reasons for participation or the lack of it will hinge on things that go beyond scheduling. For someone like Steve Smith, who is only owed 1 crore rupees for the remaining half of the season, might not be enough financial motive for him to turn up, while others like Glenn Maxwell and Pat Cummins, who are owed huge sums, might turn up because there is financial motive there. Another thing that every stakeholder has to keep in mind is the workload management of these players. They play a lot of games in a very short duration, first in IPL 2021 and then head straight into the T20 World Cup. All of this in the sultry heat of the UAE, which will take a toll on their bodies and which must be borne in mind by all the stakeholders involved. India was scheduled to play New Zealand and South Africa at home in the build-up to the T20 World Cup. Now, those future tours program will have to be rescheduled because of the IPL taking place in that window. As things stand right now, the BCCI and the ICC have a lot of ironing of wrinkles to do. As and when they do, as and when we have more updates, we'll come to you. So don't forget to stay tuned to Cricbuzz. My name is Tanay Tiwari. Thank you so much for watching.